Yo, what's up? It's Low. Um, I'm back to talk about the New Age movement, all right, and all other types of spirituality that I could think of off the top of my head, because these are not scripted. Once again, they're not scripted. I'm just going off of what I know. Which sucks because when I miss out on the detail and I'm like, dang, I gotta like throw this into another video, but the next video I'm trying to move on. But whatever, I'm gonna try to get this stream of consciousness flowing the best way I can. So I mentioned on the previous video that the New Thought movement was pretty much the gateway drug to the New Age movement and all other types of spirituality and the occult. All right, I probably didn't word it exactly that way, but this is what we diving into in this video. So I'm going all the way there. All right, but before I even get to explaining these things, I want to put out the reason they can't be true, right? They can't be ultimate truth. And that's for the simple reason that they don't offer an explanation of how we got here, what we're doing here, what our purpose is, why we exist. And they don't really have a foundation for the most part, especially the New Age. And the reason I want to start with the New Age is because here in Western civilization, it's been taking over the minds of millions of people and people adhere to it. But New Age is pretty much build your own religion. It's a way of feeling spiritual. It's a way of feeling like you have some kind of depth to you that other people don't have, or of having spirituality and freedom that maybe religious people don't have because you're not controlled by text or institution. So if you're New Age, you're already better than those people. You're better than the religious. You're better than the atheist because you have spiritual depth to you. You're the cream of the crop. And whenever you talk to someone, they're gonna think you're smart, intelligent, deep, profound. Whenever you have a conversation with someone, it's going to appear to be depth. So the reason I'm going at the New Age like this is because it doesn't have a true foundation. Most of New Age is literally just borrowing from different folk spiritualities and borrowing from Eastern religions. It's just okay, we don't like that part, we'll take this part. We don't like that part, we'll take this part. We don't like that part. Things like karma. If you ask the average spiritual person if they believe in karma, they'll tell you yes. Karma is the cosmic payback that you receive for your wrongs. The problem with that is you're prescribing morality to an impersonal force that's logically inconsistent. It doesn't work. All right, that's just one example. You have people that will adopt the ideas of reincarnation, but you can tell us where our destination is when we're here. You can tell us that we're going to come back to Earth, but you can't tell us where we came from in the first place. And it's also a circular logic, because if it's reincarnation, you're telling me that I was once on Earth, maybe in a different form, maybe as a different being or a different person, but I was here, and when I die, I'm gonna come back again based on my how I conducted myself in my life. It doesn't make sense, because it doesn't tell you how the Earth actually got here in the first place. What kicked off the karmic cycle? What kicked off the reincarnation? So the New Age will take all of these different ideas and they piece them together. Some of them believe that they're going to ascend to the fifth dimension. You can tell me where you're going, but you can't tell me where you came from. How can I be sure that you know exactly where you're going? You can't. All right, some people think they're going to ascend to the next dimension. Some people think they're going to come back. Some people just believe that they have their third eye open, their pineal gland is active, and they're just tapped into the spiritual world, and it doesn't mean anything more than that. And I'm giving more credit to the New Age movement than I should, because the majority of the people that subscribe to that worldview, they just want the surface level things, the things that make them feel good, the feeling of spirituality, the feeling of depth, the feeling you get from people when they talk to you and you have these bizarre outlooks on life, right? That's what people like. So they're not even any in depth as others are. The minority is probably the ones that really practice and know where it leads and knows where it takes you. And it's so hard to pinpoint. Like, I could spend, I don't know how long on this video if I sit here breaking down every single type of idea that they have, that doesn't lead to any kind of ultimate truth. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Let me just keep running my mouth. So with the New Age, they borrow from different Eastern religions and from indigenous spirituality. So they believe in, spiritual forces, but they might see them as spirit guides. Some people might see them as ancestors. Some people might see them as ascended masters. Some people believe Jesus existed, but they believe that Jesus was a mere mortal and that he reached what's called Christ consciousness that allowed him to be wise and allowed him to perform miracles. In 2,000 years, we haven't seen anyone else attain Christ consciousness. For there to be books about how to reach Christ consciousness, for there to be people who follow that doctrine, no one in that long has ever achieved Christ consciousness and showed us any miracles or supreme wisdom that surpassed the things we've already known. It's crazy, right? You have, what else are some other beliefs? The beliefs in charms, like healing crystals, I guess. People will put their belief into a crystal and depend on it for healing, depend on it for to help them speak better, depend on it to help them, to get rid of energy blockages. Some people will take sage. It's a lot of ritualistic practices, and it's not a lot of spiritual depth to it. And here's how it relates to the New Thought movement. Like I said, New Thought was like the front company of the New Age movement, because it's a gateway. Once you start looking at the secrets to attracting wealth with your mind, the secret to obtaining everything you ever wanted, and then you go through that rabbit hole, then the research goes from, oh, well, here's the way to do this, here's the way to do that. Okay, here's this type, it'll lead you into those same things. You could call it slippery slope. We could call it, I told you, I've been on a spiritual journey my whole life. And so I'm telling you what I know from my own personal experience. See, and in a previous video, I talked about how companies prey on young people, but not only companies, but ideas, ideological movements prey on young people, because they can get you really easily if they could believe that you are more than what you've been told you were, that you felt you were. Yeah, you could easily grab the mind of a 13-year-old person if you tell them that you're not regular, you're not average, you're an indigo child, you're a star seed, you're more intelligent than everyone else, you have more spiritual sensitivity than everyone else, your mind can attract the desires of your heart more than anyone else because you understand these spiritual secrets. They get you with the esoteric knowledge that puffs up your heart and makes you feel like it builds up that pretentiousness in you, that you are now better than these people because you know something that they don't know. You have secrets that they don't know, and you're more tapped in than they are. And when you start to speak to people about these things, they're in awe. They're learning from you. You're so great. You're so smart. And this is how you could easily snag someone in. It's the same way cults prey on the vulnerability of the members they recruit. It's the exact same thing. All right. So, but when you closely examine all of these New Age beliefs and folk spirituality, it's all based on what already exists. It might be animism. You might believe that God or spirit is inside of all creations on earth. The same spirit that's inside of you is the same spirit that's inside of a rock. That's the same spirit inside of a tree, or Mother Earth. Or you might believe in those things. Or you might believe that the crystals are here. Or you might believe the ancestors or the ascended masters or the spiritual guides are leading you. Or you might believe in these angels that are communicating with you through numbers. But all of that stuff you're saying is here right now. But none of the idea that you subscribe to actually explains how any of it got here, if it's actually here. If it's all nonsense, then it's all made up to make you feel good. If it's true, there has to be a way to know, or a reason it's here. Something had to come about that made the reality that we're all experiencing. And on the next video, I'm going to go in depth about this. You guys are going to understand this even deeper on the next video, but I want to get into this idea right now. A lot of indigenous spiritualities and folk spiritualities, whether it's South American, whether it's African, whether it's Native American, any of those spiritualities, they believed in ancestral worship or nature spirits, and they believed they had to conduct certain rituals, whether it was dance, drumming, painting of your face, mask, certain ceremonial dress, sacrifice, so that you can be in good standing with these spirits, so they could protect you, so that you can have fertility, so that you can have fertile land, so that you can have prosperity, all these things. So all of the gods that they worship or that they communed with, it seems like the only thing they were really good for is making sure that their material life was okay. That's it. It's making sure your material life is fine. I'll make sure our crops grow. You know, the thing with the New Age, it gets rid of that kind of utility. It seems that the New Age is more about, instead of focusing on like the spirits and stuff like that, it's more about lifting yourself up as God, you being the God of your universe, which is why you get to collect the Pokemon of all different religions and spiritual practices and mash them up into an amalgamation of your godhood. All right. Because New Age, it's like it takes pieces of Hinduism, it takes pieces of Buddhism, it takes pieces of folk spirituality. It could be African spirituality, it could be Native American spirituality. It doesn't matter. It just takes bits and pieces of different things. It takes some mythology sometimes. It depends on how friends you are. You know, some people, they might all agree, like, yeah, we gotta open our third eyes, we have to reach the fifth dimension, we got here. They might all agree on those things, but one of them might believe, oh yeah, we got here because the Anunnaki came from planet X and they genetically engineered us to be on this planet to mine gold for them. Somebody else might believe, I don't know, somebody else they might be more tapped into Egyptian spirituality. They might believe that those gods Set or whatever they were, I forgot the story, and she stretched over the sky and he laid down the crib. I forget the story because I stopped being interested in that type of nonsense a long time ago. But they might believe in a pantheon of gods that came together that created these things. So not my problem, it's not my problem, I don't care. But the problem with New Age spirituality and folk spirituality is that, especially, let me stop on New Age for a second because I already cut into them enough. The problem with folk spirituality and whether it's African, South American, Native American, whatever, the problem is that it's tied in culturally, traditionally, and also ethnically. All right, people subscribe to these things only because their people and the people around them have been subscribing to it for years. They have no better reason to follow it than that. Not because it's true, not because it's good, not because it works or it don't work, but because this is ours. This is what we do. It's all about a preservation of identity more than it is for truth. Which is why I said in a previous video, if you don't drop your own personal bias and you call yourself looking for truth, you're never gonna find it. You look at black people today and they'll tell you what not to believe because their ancestors didn't believe it, and it's the stupidest thing I've heard in my life. Our ancestors did this, so we should do that. Why don't you wear freaking neck rings and stretch your lip out with a lip plate and genital mutilation and sacrifice babies? Why don't you do those things? I mean, we kind of do that now, but we're not gonna get into that. But why don't you do that now? Because you culturally and traditionally do something doesn't mean it's good for you. Doesn't mean it's true. You don't have the mindset of, I want to know what's true and practice what's true if you're more focused on protecting personal bias. All right, and a lot of the spirituality is based on mythology and constantly trying to appease these gods, that if you don't do a certain thing, they're going to do something to you. Oh, and this brings me into my next point. If you don't do this for these gods and you make these gods unhappy, they're going to do something to you. They're going to smite you. They're going to hurt you. They're going to cause your land not to be fertile. If you, in the New Age, if you astral project and you don't do it the right way and you leave your vessel empty, something could inhabit your body, or you can be attacked on the astral realm. If you do transcendental meditation, or if you take certain psychedelics with the intention of a spiritual experience, but you don't have the correct mood, or you don't have the correct mind space to do it, you're going to attract low vibrational beings that are going to, there's always a caveat to folk spirituality and New Age spirituality. If you don't do it the right way, if you don't close off this ritual, if you don't shut this off the right way, if you don't make this pact the correct way, if you don't do this correctly, harm can come to you. Harm can come to you if you don't do it correctly. There's a caveat. Something that's supposed to be spiritually empowering has side effects. It sounds like pharmaceutical. It's not a cure. We're going to call truth the cure. But these subjective spiritualities and these collages of religions that people mash together to build their own God, it's not explanatory of your existence, doesn't tell you where you're going, how you got here, and there's side effects. It can backfire and it can be harmful to you. What makes you think that's the truth? So I'm ending that with this. Throw it out of here. Throw it out of here with the New Thought movement. Throw the New Age and the folk spirituality out with the New Thought movement. Oh, last thing I'm going to say is, I'm not saying that the experiences that you have while practicing it is false. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, it's not ultimate truth. And I don't think that it's it's for your well-being. I think it's for our well-being. And later on, I am going to make videos diving into the different worldviews individually. Right now, I'm giving you a stream of consciousness across all different things. I'm jumping around, but I will have my thoughts organized and I'll go into each one individually. But I need to give y'all something to think about now. All right, that's about it for this video. Peace.